Make sure your render distance is high. Enter the nether and wait at least 10 to 20 seconds for your chunks to load in. Press Shift and F3 to open the pie chart, and press the number next to tick, level, entities, block entities. To go back, press 0. If you can see a mob spawner, there should be a fortress. If not, then raise your render until 1 loads. Then lower your render distance to 2 and reopen the pie chart so the spawner is gone. We're going to raise our render by 1, then in-game check if it's raise your render until 1 loads. Then lower your render distance to 2 and reopen the pie chart so the spawner is gone. We're going to raise our render by 1, then in-game down to 2, 3 diagonal. Left or treasure bastion, this one with the big square, doors with a brick roof, go straight at balconies, up loads as a cone, so you should travel straight, but it might be left or right, especially if it's far. If you travel the distance and can't find it, then do it all over again, and it should be either left or right. Loads as a cone, so you should travel straight, but at 4 directions until it loads. So we can see it's 17 chunks positive X. If move the 4 directions until it loads. So we can see it's 17 chunks positive X. If none of the 4 directions work, check diagonals. It loads as a cone, so you should travel straight, but it might be left or right, especially if it's far. If you travel the distance and can't find it, then do it all over again, and it should be either left or right from your first direction. And it should be either left or right from your first direction. If you find a treasure bastion, this one
stairs and the nether wart, you want to go straight. Ideally, these stairs you want to get to a fortress. We've made our way here and we're exploring. So we are in what's called the bad part of the fort, in that it has a roof and chests and stuff. Where we were earlier, actually. Is that it is to a fort diagonally this way. So here we are. I'm assuming now that you know how to get to a fortress. We've made our way here and we're exploring. So we are in what's called the bad part of the fort, in that it has a roof and chests and stuff, which is not what you want in a fort. You're looking for an open area, which is where the spawners can spawn. I'm going to talk now about how to navigate to a spawner in a fortress, or at least how to navigate to the good part of the fortress. So this room with the stairs and the nether wart, you want to go straight. Ideally, these stairs you want to go up. And then here, this is kind of like the middle room, which separates the bad part of the fort and the good part of the fort. Additionally, if you see these balconies, you want to go the opposite direction. And then remember, through here, you want to go through, and then here is that middle part. And then once we're here, obviously, we can see our spawner is just over there. I'm going to do that just one more time. So we're exploring. This is obviously the bad part of the fort. I know I want to go the opposite direction of this, and I want to go up these stairs. We're going up. And I'm just wondering. These stairs, we would want to be on the upside of. We're supposed to go the opposite way of that. Opposite way of that. Up these stairs. And here is the intermediate room and the good part. Now, little secret, when there's tons of weather skeletons, build up 3 blocks, they'll all run to the edge, and you can just punch them off super easily. But what if you're in the closed part? Well, you can make this little wall and block them off. So once again, just like that. Alternatively, you could do something like this, and block them off, and then kill them. But I find it better to just make this pathway and pass them like that. Let's say you're in a scenario where you are on a part of the fortress that doesn't have a ledge for them to go up on. You still want to go up 3 blocks, or actually go up 4, and then place a block on the side. Now they'll all path up and you can just push them off super easily. Here, I just usually block these off if I think that they're going to make a problem. Like if my spawner was here, like right here, I would just block these off so nothing comes in. We're supposed to go the opposite. I'm going to do that just balconies. What you fort is diagonally. You're looking for an open area, which is where which is to place a solid block on top of the spawner. 2 soft blocks, soul sand or dirt or whatever is best here. I'm going to show you the best way to clear with 1 bed, which is to place a solid block on top. Of the spawner. 2 soft blocks, soul sand or dirt or whatever is best here, and then a bed up here. So we've got the whatever is best here, and then a bed up here. So we've got the bed up, we're going to stand over here, detonate it in the air. Clear all the fire. This is very important. Blazes like a certain light level to spawn in. This map is great because you can actually toggle on something that tells you what light level they can and can't spawn in. So quickly, that looks like this. That 1 soul sand was actually unnecessary, but it doesn't hurt it. So you're going to want to clear the fire immediately, just so your blazes can spawn in. Blazes don't like high light levels. And then you're going to want to go 2 blocks out the back. And then 1 down the sides. like this. And that would be the spawner cleared. These blocks here technically also make a slight difference, but it's like one bed. Let's see strings. Spawn on. This one. Double blaze bed. If you're really looking into the mechanics of it, block, bed, pick block, block, bed. And then you can actually clear this and then just start building, which is like kind of the bed only. And then you can mine these blocks, the spawn, and then clear like there. Right, so hard block, soft. Soft, hard block, soft, soft. I think you can do this with dirt as well and sand. Light both the TNT. TNT, and it'll clear very nicely. Just a couple blocks around, you'll notice a bit of the fence up. It's super easy as well. You just build all around it. This is often, you'll really probably only do this on temple seeds, but you essentially make a donut around the spawner. You have 4 TNT, and then you're gonna just light them all quickly. And that also clears very nicely. Pretty similar to 2 TNT, honestly. There's actually a more efficient way to do it with 3 TNT, which I will show you now. So 3 TNT is also just quicker because you're placing less blocks. Like that. If you want to get... And technically it's like this. You light these 2, and then this one. And this is probably one of the best. Like that. Is also just quicker because you're placing less blocks. Like that. If you want to get... And technically it's... It's like this. You light these 2, and then this one. And it's like... like that. If you want to get, and technically it's like this. You light these two, and then this one. And this is probably one of the best ways to clear. So a nice little skip you can do is to set it up, light these, and then build out the last TNT. Just so it's all nicely overlaps. And again, this time it was like 3 blocks that needed mining. Alright, now for buried. With 1, you don't have... It's basically the same, except you don't have to build at the top bit, you just mine this, and then blaze bed in the roof. It's basically... the same, except you don't have to build at the top bit, you just mine this, and then blaze bed in the roof. Put out, which is one reason why TNT is preferable to beds, because with TNT, you don't have to worry about fire being spawned, because it doesn't spawn any. Alright, next up we have with 2 beds, which again, same setup. Put out the fire, it cleared immaculately, everything is cleared. Everything, like the walls are cleared a block farther out, and like a couple blocks farther out at the back. It's just beautifully cleared. There's actually a 1 TNT 1 bed setup, which is like basically you just do half of the 1 bed setup, or you do half of the double TNT setup and half of the 2 bed setup. So you do this, go around, and that clears quite nicely as well. So you can light this, set this up, boom, go to the other side, and that TNT will actually clear some of the fire, which is really cool as well. Obviously, when buried, donut is quite nice. I still don't think it's all that much better than the 3 TNT setup, though. So it left 2 blocks and 2 fences, but like honestly, really nicely cleared. Let's see what the 3 TNT setup does. Okay, so 4 blocks, I guess, because these 2 and then these 2 you would want to mine. These 2 don't really matter quite as much, but these 2...
any idea what it took to get in here? Not as far as you can go. Come with me now. There's still a few million miles left to go. It's over. Is that the only way you can succeed, is to see me fail?
Maybe one line. Something good for practice, potentially if you're using this practice map, which is by Misht. Something good for practice potentially is turning on 2 bright spawning spaces, count and show, and then also blocked spawning spaces. So now if I go in here, as you can tell, blocked 50.8% is blocked. And you can see the red outline on all of this, what is blocked. Also, if I light a fire, that entire area around the fire will be in different levels to show that it's blocked. Look how much just having one fire here gets rid of. So you go from 49.2% available to 11.4% available. For the sake of argument, let's just look. If I clear this, the fire immediately makes it basically all unavailable. But if I put all the fire out, I just want to see. So if I don't mine any blocks and I just put the fire out, I would say that's the worst of the fire. The fire is probably still blocking a little bit. But I go from whatever it is, 48 point something to 95% clear. I think what isn't clear is this, and then like a little bit in the wall. So we can actually compare how much it clears based off that. So double bed clears 95 point something. Single bed, after we clear the fire, 87.9%. Actually, that's part of it too. Okay, so 90%, 91% from single bed. So if we actually compare, I'm curious now. I haven't checked this already. We will see, I guess, definitively which one's better. So 95.5% for double, or for the 3 TNT. 97 if you mine 1 block, which is already better than double bed one was. But the crazy thing here is there's no fire, and I get that immediately. As soon as the TNT goes off, that is how much spawning space I have, which is incredible. But yeah, just a really good thing to keep in mind, because I go from 97.7% available to 53% available. And if I light like a couple more fires, you can just see how it is terrible for the blazes spawning. Especially if you're playing a closed spawner and have no explosives, if you have a blaze shoot a fireball on top, you always need to put it out because you're down to 11.4%. So anyway, that's just cool things to know with this map. It's a great map, would recommend. I'll probably put it in the description if you guys want to practice on it. I guess I can also show like most optimal ways to kill blazes. All right, so now that we have this cleared, as you can tell, I have it 100% available, perfectly cleared out. That looks like this. You might be wondering now, what is the best way to kill blazes? Now, if you just have an iron axe, the best way to do it is with 1 crit and 1 swing. Crits and swing. Crit and swing. Obviously, this is faster than crit by just a little bit. It's also worth noting that between swings, if your food is offhanded, then you can eat, which is really nice. Additionally, between crits, you can open up your crafting menu. Maybe even if you're really quick, you can open, like you can do a craft between. Like so. It's worth noting that you're gonna want to craft your wool, your sticks for your bow if you're gonna make one, and your glowstone in your little hotbar thing. And then you can clear your inventory between spawns. I don't need this much grapple, obviously. Something interesting. Let's say something goes wrong. This guy gets pushed out like so. Now he's down and he's in a really annoying spot. You can bridge out to him. What you can also do is place a boat. And that he'll go off and into the boat, and then you can kill him and get it back. So boats can actually be very helpful. So can rods if you want to craft one. Again, you can search craft RE for beds because it searches for red bed and also respawn anchor. And that is a great way of crafting as well. Something else worth noting is if you have a stone axe or iron axe and also an iron sword, you can kill blazes in 2 jumps like this with a crit from both. Which is really nice. One of the other things you can overlap, obviously, is building your portal while you wait. Oh, they lit it. Okay. I think you can do this as well with the stone sword. Yeah, you can. Next up, I'm going to cover how to kill blazes when you have a looting gold sword. It's very important that you don't blaze bed the spawner when you have a looting sword. It's very important that you don't blaze bed the spawner when you have a looting sword because it's fully unnecessary. So you full crit, and then you do like a little hit, and then you crit with the axe. So just a weak axe swing. I already have 6 rods, which is crazy. The other option is a full crit with the axe, and then 2 crits.
Each track has a specific meaning to a specific person. There's no villager song, there's no song for killing creepers. They're all personal. They're gonna come on when you're doing something unique. What this means is the music is the oral equivalent to Minecraft's rules. Each world is tailor-made for the player. It's not something that many players would notice, but in this way, Minecraft's music captures the essence of Minecraft and nothing more. Just like your world sees, Minecraft's music is made for you and your team. There's a reason that Minecraft's music is nostalgia when you play. The game and its soundtrack are truly
with the gold sword. That's nice. The most common way to get a diamond sword is just... Honestly, BT is really common. It just happens where you get 2 fine diamonds. It's 2... is once you've killed all your blazes and whatnot, and obviously cleared the spawner, killed your blazes, your wool, I like to drop 1 so I can craft and still make a bow with these 3 string. Your glowstone and 1 set of sticks for your bow should always be crafted in your inventory. I search craft B, so how you search craft things is with the book already open, you can hit tab space to open the book, and then space toggles open and close. You can hit tab space. To open the book, and then space toggles open and close. Tab just makes this blue like you've clicked on it, and then space. So with the book open, obviously you can open it really quickly. With the book open, if you hit T, it'll open up this typing thing so you can type in here. Basically, you would click on this and then just hit TB. That'll filter out a lot of options so that bow is easier to grab. And then if you do TRE, which are all in a row on your keyboard, it gets you respawn anchors and beds in the same search craft, which is really nice because it actually searches for red bed and then respawn anchor. So then you can craft these up. And then once you've done that, you can go ahead and make your blind portal. Now, as far as the blind portal goes, I would normally make it across from my crafting table. So there's a couple different levels to it. Firstly, if you're taking fall damage while making your blind portal, you're doing it wrong. Just plain and simple. So it's these two. You can go up 3, and then as you fall off, place a block really easily. This is not difficult to do in the slightest. Bottom 2, these 3, and then fall off and place it. Top 2, back. I like to keep fire charges here so that when I have this open, I can just hotkey it into my fire charges slot immediately, because that's where your mouse hovers when you open your inventory. So as another option, you can go up 2 blocks and then jump off and place a block like this, which is faster yet. You can also do from 1 block, you can place 2 obsidian and a block on top of it like that. That's the hardest one to do, and also the fastest. And in portal practice, which is a map you should absolutely have, if you go to blind portals and then spawner, you can actually practice this exact portal really quite easily. Yeah, if you have 11 obsidian in a run, you can just do the quadruple stack like that, and then like that. I would still recommend probably trying to... at least trying to hotkey the dirt at the top like that, but it is a bit more advanced, so yeah. And I think that's probably everything for the video. I don't think there's anything. Hello and welcome to another video. My name is CalisthenicsCuber on YouTube. Cal runs on Twitch, but you can just call me Cal regardless of where you are. Now today, I'm going to be covering movement stuff and like terrain nav, which you already knew because I assume you could read and you saw the thumbnail. But what does that entail exactly? Well, the plan for today, just call me Cal regardless of where you are. Now today, I'm going to be covering movement stuff and like terrain nav, which... Hello and welcome to another video. My name is CalisthenicsCuber on YouTube. Cal runs on Twitch, but you can just call me Cal regardless of where you are. Now today, I'm going to be covering movement stuff and like terrain nav, which you already knew because I assume you could read and you saw the thumbnail. But what does that entail exactly? terrain nav, which you already knew because I assume you could read and you saw the thumbnail. But what does that entail exactly? Well, the plan for today is I'll cover speed bridging, staircasing, like pearl throwing, pearl clutching, boat clutching, terrain nav, all that good stuff, and probably lots more I'm forgetting to mention right now because I'm silly. Anyway, I don't want a super long intro, so let's just hop into the video, shall we? First off, you just have general terrain nav, obviously, sprint jumping, super simple. Just hold W, sprint, jump, not rocket science. Sprint jump spacing can be a little bit tricky. Some people will like not jump slightly longer before jumping if there's terrain going upwards. So like, for instance here, if I just held space the whole time, I would, do you see how I bumped? Do you see how I bumped this block when I jumped up like that, as opposed to jumping up nicely? That's because I jumped at a time that was inopportune for not clipping. That there is a clip where you hit your foot as you go up and it stops your momentum. So ideally, you want to jump up without hitting your foot, which is why you see me turning my mouse from left to right to change my momentum to be able to make it up stuff. That's a little bit exaggerated. You normally wouldn't quite do that much. Sometimes it is necessary. Time your jumps and maybe pair in some head hitters. I can't really do that very well right now because I'm in creative. So there's timing jumps. There's such a thing as not like if I choose to jump here and then jump again, I'm going to clip. So I would walk forward a little bit and then jump instead of just constantly sprint jumping. So walk a little bit between sometimes. I'm probably not going to say too much more about sprint jumping because it's obviously very simple. You can do, so if I go to survival, for instance, you can make yourself head hitters on trees and whatnot. And this is good, especially in the nether. I wouldn't recommend doing this just for like looking around. I would recommend doing this more so if you know where you're going and you know you can get there faster if you make head hitters. Next up, I'm going to cover speed bridging. So speed bridging looks like this. It's also called ninja bridging. You can get very consistent at it. It's just a timing thing. Eventually it's muscle memory. I'm going to be covering just regular speed bridging like this. And then also you can learn how to like speed bridge and go up a couple blocks. This is good. This is pretty simple. The other thing that I'll cover is one stack, which is where you basically just staircase the whole time, which is far quicker than if you just stay shifting the whole time. And it's just timing. I guess that's what I'll show you guys. Firstly, speed bridging. 100% just timing. It's pretty easy in my opinion, but that's probably because I've been doing it for years. You shift up to a block, you click. Ideally, as soon as you place the block, you unshift, and then you move. Obviously, you're holding. I do S and D the entire time, so I never let go of S and D. It's just all that I'm doing is clicking and letting go of shift. Now you can do it holding right click. Like that. You can do a tapping right click, which is what I like to do, because you can get it actually pretty quick. You can hear the blocks place, and you can hear what's fast and slow. And then you can also do it just spam clicking. It is less consistent than tap clicking though. Yeah, basically, holding S and D the entire time, you're hitting right click and then unshifting and then shifting again. Even if you just practice doing them one at a time like this, that's fine. Eventually, you'll pick up on how to do it pretty quickly. Is you can kind of move your mouse until you don't wobble around anymore, just around here, 45 degrees. You can probably see on my F3, yeah, I'm right at 45.5. Anywhere, like, I don't use F3 to line up, that would be a little silly for speed bridging, but like anywhere between 44.3 to like, probably 46 is fine. Even if you move over slightly as you go, it's fine. Like, I'm moving slightly, slowly to the bottom of the block, but like, you'd have to bridge so far for this to actually really matter at all. So yeah, just practice this. Shift unshifting, and then eventually you can string a couple together. It's all timing. Again, you can hold right click if you find that easier. It is going to be significantly slower, but like this isn't really a bridging dominated game. There are games where you have to bridge like an entire stack of blocks to Bastion, and that would just save you like so much time on your opponent because you bridge 3 times faster than them. I think that's all I'm going to say about speed bridging. I really hope that helps someone. Speed bridging is just full for sure. Next up we have one stack, which is that like go to the corner. I just holding S all just my name is speed bridging. Actually a different day because I forgot to teach this initially, so if the terrain looks different or the timer looks different, that's why. I just realized I forgot to cover 2 other bridging methods. So obviously there's also something called diagonal speed bridging, which looks like this. It's not that hard in my opinion. This is also pretty consistent, and then the other one is incline diagonal speed bridging, which looks like this. Basically, it's just new shifts timing to get down for both of these. I would start with this one, honestly. Basically, you want to line up. I do just like barely on the right side of this block, so like I'm like here, basically. If you want to place it on the right side of the block, and then you're lined up so you're not really like moving a ton. And then you just place the blocks. And if your aim goes to the other side, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You'll just place the blocks on this side instead of this side, but like in a line, quite easily if you're like bridging to chords, maybe, if that makes sense. So you can do some pretty silly stuff here. We go corner to corner. So we place 2 blocks basically at once, and then unshift, and we go to the other corner, if that makes sense. But we're switching A and D. Like, this is ridiculous. I've seen people do this. I hate it. I don't even know if you could... So, I'll be like 1 butterfly every time. Double clicking. So, I would just butterfly. I just go, it's just slightly... So we're going to go diagonally, and then up. Obviously, in this sort of situation, you'd want to pearl here, but like if you're going to the Bastion and it's over a lava lake, this is probably your best bet if you're going in. This is just so much faster and more where you want to pearl. There's better ways, there's worse ways. Way number one is just standing here and right-clicking. Doesn't go crazy far, but it's pretty good. Then there's like sprinting into it, which goes a little bit farther. And then there's like sprint jumping into it. And there's a certain timing you gotta do when you're sprint jumping. But basically it's like jump and then you pearl at the top. That whole range. And then the angle I'm throwing at, I like to do around this. Depends on if you have to pearl over something, of course. That's in water. Yeah, I like to throw it around like a -19-ish to like -30. That whole range is pretty good for sending pearls pretty far. All right, so probably the most common use case for this next thing is when you're at a fortress and you need to pearl up and then block clutch. So pearl up, block clutch, right? Not rocket surgery. It takes a little bit of practice, but it's not too bad. Yeah. Okay, so I was thinking about what else I could cover with pearls. Pearl hanging is a massively important thing. So let's say if you're playing on the blaze spawner, you've just killed your, you have like 4 rods, you've just blinded. You know your direction is, let's say, like -120. So what you do is you look around -120, pearl that way, and then lower your render to 2 before it lands. Go back to killing your blazes until you get your last rod or 2, right? So now that pearl is frozen in unloaded chunks. So I can just kill a couple blazes, and then I'm like, oh, I got my last 2 rods, I raise my render. Boom, here I am. You often want to be ready to clutch when you unhang a pearl. I was a little bit silly and didn't do that. And as far as the actual pearl clutching goes, there's just an angle that you kind of look, so you like throw the pearl, and then you look down at like this angle, I guess. What angle is this? I guess like 84. Yeah, just kind of like somewhere between here and here probably. So like 82-ish to 70-ish is kind of a good range. So like if you're falling, clutch, right? It's not hard. Just takes a bit of practice. Alrighty, that's probably all I'm gonna say about pearling. Next up, I'm gonna teach you how to pillar. So, a couple things to know. About pillaring, you've probably seen people like alternate soul sand in some other sort of full block and say it's faster. You probably already know this, but soul sand is just a hair shorter. So if you look at my view, you notice how it changes when I walk on and off of soul sand. So I go up slightly when I go onto the gravel. Do you see that? So if I just line up here, you can see how I'm going up and down. You can see the top of the blocks. You can't see the top of the blocks. That is because soul sand is ever so slightly shorter than gravel. Now, what most people don't know is if you just hold spacebar and right click to pillar versus tapping spacebar and tapping right click every time you can, or spam clicking right click, that's actually going to be quite significantly faster. I believe it saves you a tick every other block or so. Now, alternating gets you that speed, especially if you're tapping space every time and tapping, like if you're tapping jump and right clicking every time individually, and then also hotkeying. This is faster yet. This is the fastest way to pillar. All right, now I said that's the fastest way to pillar. I don't want to hear any of you guys in the comments being like, this is technically way faster. And while you may technically be right, we're not counting this because this is not ever going to be viable in a speedrun. However, it is fun to try. I would recommend like trying to learn a 0 cycle like this if you know 0 cycles. It's kind of silly actually. And then you can get on land. Away from land, it's probably not worth pearling. You can use a boat actually, and you get it back, which is cool, and you can get on land using that boat. And let's say, oh, you watch my bridging, but like maybe you're not that good at it, you fall in, right? You can actually use a boat to get out really nicely. But yeah, basically, you can use a boat to get out of the water. It's still not water. Lava, and go back to bridging. Okay, so as a second scenario, let's say we're like down in the lava, we've been bridging, we fell off. We can build off our bridge like this. And then what we do is we just put our boat on it, and because of the lava, the boat can get on a little if you hit the ground at the wrong height, you don't really take fall damage in boats unless you hit the ground at the wrong height. So yes, definitely worth noting, if you hit the ground at the wrong height, your boat will actually break and you'll still take the fall damage and probably die on the spot, which is why you'll see a lot of runners, they'll go down and they'll get out of the boat right before they hit the ground. So boating down is spot, which is why you'll see a lot of runners, they'll go down and they'll get out of the boat right before they hit the ground. So boating down is the slower and safer alternative to just jumping down and boat clutching. The other option is to get out of the boat. So you just shift right click and hold W when you're in the boat. You can make it pretty significantly farther like that than if you just normally boat down. Obviously, the higher you are, the more of a difference it can have. All right, a complete tangent. But let's say we're in survival, an Enderman is mad at us. If we place a boat, it won't necessarily get into it as much as we hope it does. This time it did, which is pretty lucky. But like, oh no, it's not getting in the boat, maybe? Oh no, I'm so dead. You can punch the boat and that'll push the Enderman into it. That's a really nice way to deal with Enderman, is the boat punching mechanic. Anyway, a little bit of a tangent there. Just looks like that. Basically, just look down and click. I more often if I look straight down than if I look 0 cycle slightly ahead of me. This is actually a great way to practice a lot of these things because you practice your pearling, practice your block clutching, practice your pillaring, Let's say you do your 0 cycle, whatever. I'm not the right words at all, but I don't really care. And then you go down, you can practice your boat clutching as well. Okay, so I just suck. Hold on. Wait, no, I want redemption. You can practice your boat clutching as well. Alright, this one is off of the tutorial books. This is just a fun thing to practice that I really enjoy doing. And it adds a little bit of flair, especially if you're a streamer. It may be more worth doing than if you're not. But you can do like this thing where you toss the boat and then you catch it. And then boat clutch, that's always really fun. People like that. The other one, which people find even more crazy, again, if you can drag click, this will be more consistent than if you just butterfly like me or single click. You can do it. I've boat clutched on this channel before in one click, so it's possible if you double click. The other option is just dropping it and waiting for it to hit the ground, so you don't have to bother catching it, which is nice. Anyway, I think that's all I'm gonna say for boat clutching. I'm gonna try to say a little bit about like terrain management and nav and whatnot. It's looking to me like there's a bastion over here somewhere. Alrighty, so we're in a situation where I'm pretty sure there's a bastion through this wall. I have like an E counter of almost 30, and I don't really have anything anywhere else, so I'm pretty sure it's over this way. I would normally take higher terrain because usually entering a bastion from higher is just the way to go. Almost always. It's not always gonna pay off. In this case, I ran into a wall. Sometimes, though, lower terrain is also very good. This is almost 100% seed specific. I'm only talking about it at all because people wanted me to cover terrain nav, but like low-key, it's not really something you can easily cover just because it's so stinking seed specific. Let's say I've just measured and whatnot. I haven't actually measured. I don't have a direction or anything. Let's say it was this way though. Here, I'm like, oh, I want to go up there and not go through here, right? Like that's a pretty obvious terrain nav decision, is just nav to the terrain that looks good. So we're gonna go up here. You check your angle or whatever, you'd be like, oh, and you go this way, chuck another pearl probably. Let's say you come to find out that it's this wall here you have to mine through. I'm going to teach you a couple ways to go through the wall. Now the actual like individual terrain nav of the seed is just so impossible to talk about because every seed is different, and I can't really explain too much on how to decision make in your terrain nav. Just like general rule of thumb, you want to be low if you're heading to second portal cords if it looks good because you don't have to mine down a ton. You want to be high if you're heading to a bastion because usually being higher up at the beginning of a route is usually a pretty good thing unless you're doing manhunt housing. But even in housing, like there's a top-down variation obviously. Or like I guess bridge you kind of want to be lowish, but you can also start the route at like basically the very bottom of bridge. And then going to fortress, you kind of want to be in between or lower as kind of rule of thumb, but it's whatever terrain looks the best. As far as left and right, it just doesn't matter. It's just up to your personal opinion and just like experience to see like, oh, this looks better than this, right? This looks way more open than that does. But as far as actual crawling, you just have your normal kind of crawling you can do, which is where you just like get into a boat, break with a pearl, because you can get into the whole sprinting. Just when I hit shift and stopped, I lost my sprint. Jumping does not make me, you don't end up getting into it. So what we're doing, and we're sprinting. It's just kind of tricky. This parts of fall damage, or is like, let's say sprint crawling, it's just, but it's definitely doable. You see top runners do it all the time. Sure. Okay, so this time we're in survival mode. Nothing we can do. We gotta get up. All we have is a boat. You can actually look up, like right here. Just kind of click quickly. Nothing we can do. We gotta get up. All we have is a boat. You can actually look up, like right here. Just kind of click quickly, and you can get up like that. That actually boat broke. Dang, I did not expect that to happen. That makes it harder for me to cover this again. That's okay though. Alright, so basically, you can kind of shift back a little bit if you want. You're kind of looking at the top where these two blocks meet, just right in the corner, and you're just clicking. Boom. Usually your boat doesn't boat break like mine did, and then sometimes you can punch it and get it back, like that. And that is a way to terrain nav, and then let's say you messed up a 0, you could go get your stuff back and win the game. Or just jump in the thing if you already killed it, but also died, let's say. Alright, so this is a pretty cool tech that I definitely didn't come up with it, I don't think, but maybe I did actually. I look, see people doing this, and I really like it. Basically, before I throw an ender pearl, pearl, I'll be like, oh, I'm just gonna place some soul sand, and then soul sand accelerate myself to launch the pearl farther, if that makes sense. But yeah, basically, it's just really quick. You can launch a pearl significantly farther. Than you normally would doing that. And often you can hit terrain doing that where you normally would have maybe fallen in lava. General movement is really important, so like your movement across blocks and whatnot. And like even just jumping around corners or when there's something like this. Obviously there's like block assisted movement and then there's like the whole parkour argument with like neos and whatnot. I like using blocks to get up stuff. So like this, if I was approaching this gap in a game, you have a whole bunch of different options. So like I would probably do something like this. And that's how I would cross that. But you've got so many different options. You can just jump and clutch, go up. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's probably a little bit slower and less flashy than what I do, but like even just block clutching there is fine. If it's a really long jump, you can definitely use a boat to get to the end of it. So like even this, you can just do this, right? Boats are really good for that. Yeah, I've just flown around a little bit looking for a better spot to show you this, but this one seems pretty good. Even something like this, you might even be able to make easier than just like bridging the whole way with like a little bit of double stack movement. No, I'm not making that. Another option is like, let's say it's too far to boat to, you can like bridge a couple blocks, jump, extend. I didn't even need to bridge that far, honestly. Like even if I just bridged to here, this would be fine. So like, let's say maybe you're lower on blocks, so you just want to be quicker, you can bridge a couple blocks, jump, do the boat clutch thing. It's kind of nice. Boat clutching can be really good for lateral movement as well as like vertical. Meanwhile, this sort of stuff is all like just trying to get farther than you could normally, right? Obviously you can drag click to place the boat, you can drag click to break the boat, you can butterfly click to break the boat. That is actually pretty quick. I like to butterfly click. It's just like, boom. Because you can like, get it actually pretty quick. A little known tech is you can actually splash your boat with fire res, and then boat onto lava with it, which is really cool. And the other cool thing is I was just absolutely lying. If you fell for that, that's actually just insane. Potion effects just don't work on boats in this version. Like, you probably should have known that, but that's okay. Anyway, that'll be all for the video. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. This was actually a video that was just suggested to me by a bunch of different viewers, so I ended up doing that. So if you guys want to suggest down in the comments what video you would most like to see, there's a great chance that I'll make that video as well. As long as a couple other people also want to see it done, I will very likely do it, even if it's just a short form thing, or like, if it's like, as long as a couple other people also want to see it done, I will very likely do it, even if it's just a short form thing, or like it's something you've just been wondering about, or if it's already covered on my channel, I will tell you which video it's in, or just how to do it if it's super simple. Other than that, I'll probably just make a short on it if I haven't covered it somewhere already and I can't just explain it in a simple comment. Anyway, for real, that's Hello and welcome back to another Calisthenic Cuber tutorial. I'm Cal runs on Twitch, Calisthenic Cuber on YouTube, but you can just call me Cal regardless. And today we're going to be going into a couple things that I missed in my first movement guide. Now some of these things are things that I realized I missed after the fact. Some of these are things that you guys commented down below or talked about in my Twitch chat. Because so many of you guys loved my first movement guide, doesn't take any time and can be good for clutching. If you have a boat though, boat will likely be more consistent, especially if you have high CPS. Something else not everyone thinks about with these vines is you can actually turn them into head hitters by placing a block here and then breaking the vine. So what that might look like at faster speed would be, right? And then you made yourself a head hitter. This is kind of overcooking, but like if you can extend out a head hitter, it might. be worth it. Someone also commented on my last video that sometimes breaking blocks is faster than placing them. I may be leaving some out, but there are 3 major ways to do this in my opinion. Running along the side of terrain, you can mine blocks like this and pick them up, and you can strafe a little bit to make you go slightly slower so you do pick them up, but it's still faster than stopping completely. Right? So you can run along the edge of terrain like this to pick stuff up. You can collect blocks while going up a jump. Let's say the terrain goes up here, obviously. You can collect a block like that as you go up it and also make your jump so you don't clip. It can take some timing to actually get down not clipping and picking up the block, but very worthwhile to practice and use. But yeah, if you're going around something, you can mine it. If you're going up something, you can mine it. And then if you're going down something, you can mine it. So like this. Down is probably the easiest because you just look ahead of you and mine it, and then you drop onto the block and pick it up. More on the picking up blocks as you navigate terrain. If you're running down a hill like this, you can mine blocks as you go down, which is kind of cool. Now obviously this won't be nearly as fast as just like jumping off and boat clutching somewhere and keeping on going. And what might be quicker than that yet is just jumping down and placing blocks so you don't take fall damage. But obviously you're losing blocks rather than gaining blocks. So you may want to keep this for after the bastion, unless you have shears or like a stupid, absurd amount of blocks on your way to the bastion. Another thing I forgot to cover in my last video was how to deal with terrain nav in soul sand valleys when you don't have soul speed. Now, I'm assuming 90% of you know this already, but just in case you don't, soul soil doesn't slow you down, it's soul sand that does. Soul soil, soul sand. Soul soil is just like any other full block, doesn't slow you down, just generates in this terrain. Soul sand is a block that is slightly shorter that I was referring to in my last video, and it does slow you down if you don't have soul speed. With nothing on, soul sand slows you down pretty significantly, which is bad. Even when sprint jumping, you're significantly slower on soul sand than you are on soul soil, or every other block. Sprint does slow you down if you don't have soul speed. With nothing on, soul sand slows you down pretty significantly, which is bad. Even when sprint jumping, you're significantly slower on soul sand than you are on soul soil, or every other block. Soul speed, however, makes you accelerate on both surfaces. However, on the way to bastions, you won't have soul speed. So it is important to know how to cover this sort of terrain efficiently without the use of soul speed boots. So firstly, on this stuff, you can just run normally. Maybe if you're crossing soul sand, you place a block under you. If there's more of it, you place more blocks. This is very simple, but drains your blocks quickly. However, if you're playing on a temple seed or a seed where you got shears, so you have lots of extra blocks, maybe this is fine to do. Let's say, for example, I was going this way. I wouldn't just walk along this, or just jump along this, but I would go along the edge, and I'll show you why in a second. If you're on the very, very edge of one of these, you move normally. Do you see the difference? This is sprint jumping. This is sprint jumping on the edge. It's a massive difference. So you learn eventually how to kind of keep your movement to the edge of the blocks. So if you're going down a hill like this, that's normal speed. So if I was to navigate this terrain here, I would go as far as I can on the soul soil, so I'm sticking to the right, instead of going up this bit. So I would stick to the soul soil, and then probably use a block or two if I had blocks. If I didn't have blocks, I would probably go on the edge of this to retain speed. And then going downhill, it doesn't really make a difference. Sometimes in speedrunning, you approach a wall that you have to get over. Often, you can use blocks to get height before even getting up to it, so you can get up efficiently. And there I used a combination of things. I used blocks and also breaking blocks to get up faster. One great way of gaining height very quickly is something called triple stacking. Now, triple stacking is best done on